Hi, it's Celyn and welcome back to my channel. Lately, as you've probably been able to tell, I've been making so many Minecraft crafts. I've done tutorials, I've done just me doing crafts, and I've also done loads of these over on TikTok as well. And today I had a really cute idea to try and make a sign for the door to this room. I call this like my art room and my art studio. So I thought it would be really cute to make a Minecraft sign that says Celyn's art room. I don't really have a plan. I've never done this before. I'm gonna have to work it out as I go along, but I'm so excited. I'm really hoping it turns out cute. It could be a disaster, but I'm really excited to give it a go. So let's just get started. Okay, so I'm gonna begin by grabbing all of my materials that I need. First of all, I'm grabbing this canvas, which is a 30 by 40 centimeter canvas. It's not quite the right dimensions for a Minecraft sign, but we're just gonna work I also went ahead and grabbed some acrylic paints. I'm mostly gonna need like browns and beiges, but I'll also grab white and black. I also grabbed a ruler. This is pretty essential because I know I'm gonna need to measure some cubes and stuff. And then I also grabbed a mechanical pencil because mechanical pencils are the best. And finally, I grabbed some paintbrushes. I basically just grabbed a bunch of different sizes, but I'm mainly going to be using square brushes today. Okay, and now we can pretty much get started. So the first thing I had to do was work out what size I wanted the squares of my grid to be. So each individual square I worked out had to be 2.5 centimeters, if that makes sense. So once I did that maths, I then grabbed my ruler and my pencil and I started marking a little line every 2.5 centimeters along each side of the canvas. If you're going to try this yourself, this doesn't take too long. I feel like it's kind of like secondhand nature to me now because I've done it so many times. Anyway, once I had those little markings along both sides of the canvas, I pretty much just dragged them down the face of the canvas to make a grid. I do recommend being quite precise with this if you're trying it yourself, because the more precise you can be now, the easier it will be later. Anyway, after about maybe 30 minutes of working on the grid, it was done and it looks a little bit like this. Wow. At this point, I basically grabbed a rubber and I just started rubbing away as much of this as possible, but leaving enough behind that you can still see the squares. It just makes it easier to paint. I then added little markings to all the pixels that are the same color of the first color that I'm going to be working with, which is like a medium toned brown. I found with other projects that working with one color at a time is the easiest way to approach these, because otherwise you have to mix and mix your paints over and over. So I basically just went ahead and painted all of the pixels that were in this like medium brown. As you can see, they're not all exactly the same because I wanted it to have a bit of dimension. I'm kind of just making this up. I am looking at a reference, so if you want to do this yourself, you can basically just Google a Minecraft sign and make it up, or you can follow mine. This part was so time consuming. There's something about painting with yellow paints I find is like the worst color to paint with. I don't know if it's just the brand that I'm using or something, but I've always found that yellow paint is just not as opaque and then takes loads and loads of layers. Anyway, once I was done with that medium toned yellowy brown, I moved on to the lighter colors. So I basically just worked with the same color again and just worked on those pixels. For this color, I just used the color that I used for the medium browny yellow, and I just added a bit of white, and I also added a little bit of black. As you can see, I'm not really staying in the lines because actually overlapping the lines helps with like keeping it neat later, because you can just clean it up with another acrylic paint, because acrylic paint is super forgiving. Anyway, once I was done with the lightest color, I moved on to the darkest brown, which was just basically the same color once again, but I added more brown and more black. I filled in pretty much all of the white blanks using this darker color, and I actually used a few different shades because I wanted to make it look like more Minecrafty and more pixelated. And after a little while painting, it was complete and it looks a little bit like this. As you can see, I used quite a lot of darker colors for that final bit, and it really helped it bring it together, in my opinion. As you can see, it's not perfect. Like, some of the bits aren't completely aligned, but I'm still pretty happy with it, and I think it's gonna look really good. To complete the sign, all I need to do now is personalize it. So I printed out this font, which is basically the Minecraft font, and it says Celyn's art room. I had a quick tea break. I was totally gonna freehand the Celyn's art room font, but I decided to use some tracing paper. And to make sure the font was facing the right way once I finished tracing it, I basically had to flip the printed piece of paper, and I placed my tracing paper on top and I started tracing. For the tracing, I used a graphite pencil, but you can just use a regular pencil. I just had the graphite, so I decided to use it. But as you can see, I just traced all the letters one by one, and I wasn't too precious about being too perfect because I'm gonna fix it up with a pen later. I don't know if you guys have ever used tracing paper, but it's literally so magical. It's like the best thing ever if you're an artist. You can basically trace on one side and then you flip it over, and then if you trace it one more time, it like transfers onto the thing underneath. It is amazing! Anyway, eventually once I was done tracing, I was able to flip over my tracing paper, and as you can see, the font is facing the right way now. Yay! So I then took the tracing paper with the writing on it and I placed it on top of my canvas, and I basically used some masking tape to just keep it in place. I once again grabbed my graphite pencil, and then I was able to trace the font one more time, and this is basically gonna print the text onto the canvas as like a draft. At this point, I pretty much could have scribbled over all of the graphite lines, but I decided to follow them one by one because I find that they look stronger on the other side once you like lift up the paper. I don't know if that makes sense. Once I was done tracing for the final time, I removed the tracing paper, and you can see the lines a little bit. They're very faint, but this is pretty good when it comes to painting because you don't want your lines to like stay behind anyway. I then grabbed a thin brush and I grabbed some paint, and I pretty much started painting, but then I realized I could just use a Posca pen for this and it would be a lot easier, so I grabbed a skinny black Posca pen and I started filling in the letters. This part was so fun and super therapeutic, and it was like coming together, and as I was doing it, I was like, oh, this is gonna look great. I considered outlining all of the letters to begin with and then filling them out, but I decided to just work on one letter at a time, which seemed to work really well for me, so I recommend doing that. At this point, the painting is coming together and I was so excited because initially I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Is it gonna look rubbish? I realized after I started painting that I could have done this sign in any color. Like I could have done a birch sign, or I could have done like an acacia sign. I just completely forgot that that was like a thing now. When I started playing Minecraft, like you could only get oak signs, but you can literally get like any sign now. Can you get like multicolored signs now too? I don't know. Anyway, I went ahead and filled out all of the letters. This part was so fun. As I mentioned, it did take quite a while, but I enjoyed it so much. I just watched some videos as I did it, and eventually it was complete. Oh my goodness, I am so obsessed with this. It literally looks like I've taken it out of Minecraft and it's in my hands. I think this is one of my favorite creations I've ever made, and I cannot wait to make more if I get the chance because they look amazing. And here is the completed sign. I am obsessed with this. It isn't perfect. I could have done with doing like a base layer of paint to begin with that was like brown because it's quite gappy. I'm still not used to painting on canvases. I do paint on canvases quite regularly nowadays, but I'm still not quite sure about it. The dimensions of this, as I mentioned, aren't quite correct, so I just had to go with the flow and I made up a lot of the pixels. I am just so happy with how this turned out. I think it's so cute. Once I finished filming, I'm definitely gonna put this up on my door to this room, and I just think it's gonna look adorable. I almost feel like doing another one for Will's room and then maybe like the bedroom or something. I think that could be so cute. We're gonna have like a Minecraft themed house. This did end up being quite a hefty project. It took me probably 6 hours or something. It's getting all the pixels right and stuff like that takes so long, and like the whole painting process. A lot of my ideas came as I went along. So for example, I didn't plan on using tracing paper for this, but I did in the end, and it ended up working out really well. So if you're gonna try this for yourself, I recommend doing that. But yeah, I'm just so happy with it. I think it's so cute, and I just want to make more of them, even though they take a really long time. But that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any other ideas for Minecraft projects I can do, let me know down in the comments below because I'm always looking for new ideas. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe because it really helps me out. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Normally I would say I'll see you next Friday, but I'm actually away next week, so keep your eyes peeled for some shorts. But otherwise, I'll see you a week on Friday at 5 PM. Bye! I love it so much.